The platform hummed like a tired heart. People moved in blurred streams, dragging their lives in rolling suitcases and paper coffee cups. I stood still, clutching a small cracked watch in my palm so tight the metal bit my skin. It had stopped at 6:14 long ago, but somehow it still ticked in my head. Her voice kept replaying, sharp as broken glass. You are too old. Get a job. My breath trembled. I wasn't crying. Not here. Not under the fluorescent lights and the cold stare of strangers pretending not to notice me. But my hands? They shook in quiet rebellion. A girl sat a few feet away, knees pulled close like she was trying to fold herself into her coat. She wasn't watching me, not really. She stared past me, into the air above my shoulder. But sometimes eyes reveal secrets by where they don't land. Her gaze brushed the frayed edge of the red scarf hanging from my bag. It fluttered in the draft, a wounded flag. The announcer's voice crackled, train arriving in 3 minutes. My chest tightened and I could almost hear the door slam again, feel the sting in my ribs from words that were never meant to land with kindness. I should have argued. Should have stayed. Should have laughed it off. Something. Anything. Instead, I walked out. And now I was here. Heart half-packed. Pride rattling like coins in an empty pocket. The girl blinked slowly, as if she could sense the storm I carried. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then dropped. Maybe she wanted to say something. Maybe she knew the feeling of being scraped raw by someone who once called you theirs. The train lights glimmered in the tunnel like teeth. I tightened my grip on the broken watch. A whistle cut through the air like someone trying too hard to sound calm. I shifted my bag, felt the edge of the red scarf brush my wrist. Dad had given it to me the winter I turned 12, when snow piled higher than my knees and the world felt wider than fear. Keep warm, kiddo. Winners don't freeze up. He laughed when he said it, but his eyes were tired. He was always tired. Funny how some things warm you when you're little and choke you when you're grown. The cracked watch pulsed in my fist. Not ticking, just pressing. Like it carried every second someone doubted me. Every second I doubted myself. Bills waiting on my desk. A half-written resume stained by spilled tea. The echo of her voice, too old. As if dreams had an expiration date stamped in invisible ink. A couple rushed past, breathless and glowing, arms tangled like they couldn't bear even 1 second apart. Further down, a toddler squealed and ran into his father's legs. He scooped the kid up like catching joy was easy. I swallowed hard. No one was waiting for me, the girl. She was still there. Coat swallowing her frame, fingers worrying a loose thread. Eyes soft as if they understood without needing to pry. Her silence felt heavier than words. Like she was holding them for later, saving them in case I shattered. A screen flickered. Train delayed. Groans rippled. My pulse kicked. The universe, always late with its warnings, offered me 1 more minute, 1 more chance to turn around, to fix things, to prove I wasn't running, but I didn't move. She glanced at me. Quick. Curious. Almost hopeful. I tried to smile. It came out crooked, unsure. My feet stayed planted, but my heart leaned back toward a door already closed. A low rumble rolled across the sky, the kind that warns the air before rain falls. People shifted, restless, hugging coats tighter. I felt the tension settle on my shoulders like damp wool. He sat across from me now. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to notice things I'd missed earlier. His shoes were scuffed, soles peeling like pages in an old book. A wallet slipped when he crossed his leg, and a tiny photo peeked out. A girl in a school uniform. Smiling messy, braces flashing. He pushed it back quickly, like the memory burned if exposed too long. A storm inside a man who looked calm. I knew that type. I was that type. My breath hitched. Maybe I wasn't the only one running from words that carved bruises on the inside. Wind swept along the tracks and lifted a strand of his hair. He didn't chase it, just let it fall back however it pleased. Someone who used to care about every detail, now too tired to fix what kept coming undone. The thunder cracked again. A drizzle started, tapping the metal roof like impatient fingers. The scent of wet concrete filled my lungs, grounding and choking at the same time. I told myself I needed to leave. I had to prove something. To her. To myself. To every clock that ever dared stop on me. But my body settled deeper into the bench, as if movement would shatter whatever strange thread tied us here in this moment of shared undoing. Was this fate? Or just 2 broken clocks stuck at the same minute? He lifted his gaze. Our eyes met. Not searching, just noticing. Like he saw my tremor and recognized it as his own once. I opened my mouth to speak. Nothing came out. The rain thickened. The train did not arrive. The world held its breath, and so did I. The rain thickened into steady sheets, blurring windows and faces until everything looked like a watercolor someone forgot to finish. A woman nearby sighed loudly, eyes cutting toward me like my stillness offended her pace. A man muttered into his phone about wasted time. The world hates a pause. It treats quiet like weakness. I stood suddenly, heart slamming my ribs. Maybe if I moved fast, I wouldn't feel the shaking. The scarf slipped from my bag and trailed like a wounded ribbon behind me. I almost kept walking, nearly let it drown in the puddles at my feet. But my father's laugh flickered through me, soft and tired and stubborn, that I turned back. He was holding it. The red scarf. Not grabbing, just cradling it between gentle fingers, like it was breakable. Or like I was. Some people carry more than just bags, I whispered, not sure if I meant to speak aloud. They carry silence. His eyes lifted. Storm gray. A quiet apology lived there, or maybe a warning, or maybe nothing but shared ache. Either way, it hit me. You dropped this, he said. Simple. But his voice sounded like someone who had dropped things too. Important things. People things. My throat closed. I wanted to say thanks. I wanted to grab the scarf and run. I wanted to stay rooted until the ground grew tired of holding me. Instead, I hovered, one foot half turned toward the exit, the other planted by him like loyalty I hadn't earned. A teenage boy walked past, glanced at us, curled his lip. In his world, adults weren't allowed to look lost. I felt heat rise to my cheeks, the scarf brushed my palm. Our fingers almost touched. I took one shaky breath, and didn't move. The rain eased, but the quiet stayed sharp. He let go of the scarf, and I caught it like it was a lifeline disguised as cloth. My fingers sank into the worn threads. They felt thinner than they used to. Time does that. It thins things. Hope. Fabric. People. He shifted, the wallet slipping again. This time the photo fluttered out and landed near my shoe. I bent to pick it up, breath snagging. The same girl from before, but this time she wasn't smiling. Her eyes were tired, chest wrapped in hospital tubes. Someone had written on the back in shaky ink, 6:14. Hold on, the same time stamped on my watch. A jolt crawled up my spine, cold and unreal. I looked at him, really looked. He wasn't lost. He was grieving. Running. Just like me, but farther down the road. You keep time even when it breaks, he murmured, voice rough as gravel. It took me a beat to realize he wasn't talking to himself. He was talking to me. Answering a question I never asked out loud. My pulse hammered. Too old. Get a job. Winners don't freeze up. Time stops. Hold on. All the lines tangled, looping through my head like they had been waiting to collide. Then my phone buzzed. An email notification. I lifted it with a shaky hand. My breath left me in a painful rush. Interview tomorrow, final round, company, Harlow Tech Industries. His last name was Harlow. I'd seen it on the news. On billboards. On the listing when I applied, praying for a miracle and a second shot at life. He wasn't just a stranger. He was the decision waiting at the end of my fear. I felt the ground tilt. No return now. Heart in throat, I turned toward the station doors. A glass-walled waiting room glowed ahead like a checkpoint for fate. I stepped forward, scarf trailing behind me like a flag I hadn't chosen yet, and walked straight into whatever came next.